Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I just want to talk a little bit more about the protest. We still got some people out there who believe that we destroyed our own communities and that it's our fault. Then you hear the old girl Trina calling us animals. And this bitch, she. First of all, this your boy Mr. Rance. And she black. This motherfucker here. But anyway, a lot of people seem to be kind of on the fence about this. People got their ways, their beliefs, but ain't nothing wrong with that, and everybody should feel some type of way. But one thing that we do have to remember is that the black businesses, a lot of them, a lot of these black businesses were hurt already because of the pandemic. See, everybody's not taking into the equation the pandemic. Everybody's just talking about the riot because we got our focused on one direction, one thing. It's like that's all we can think of is one thing at a time. No, this is a multitude of things at a time. Do you remember what happened with the pandemic when it all kicked off? When it all kicked off, it was it's going to affect the small businesses. The small businesses, everybody forgot. It's going to affect the small businesses. Small businesses are going to suffer. And it's going to be a major issue for the small businesses. Blah, blah, blah. Major chains are good, but the small businesses are going to be hurt, devastated. Fast forward, you got your riots because of the George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. And like I told you on my last rantation, as I call them, you remember that you have a lot of different protests going on. One, the people are protesting for the pandemic. People are protesting for the jobs. People are protesting because they still have dirty water. Then they're protesting for all of the inequalities that's going on. And, the racial injustice. So it's a lot of things being protested at the same time. That's why they spread it across the country. But the small businesses, they were hurt by this. Then turn around, their stores get torn into. A lot of those I don't think were issues. Small businesses were hurt because of the pandemic. They needed to save themselves. There was a lot of insurance things going on out there. We don't know. But there was a lot of damn insurance shit going on that we just don't know what's going on. These businesses, think about it. These businesses are on the verge of being shut down after this pandemic is over because they done lost so much money, they can't make it up. They can't bounce back from this pandemic. Boom. George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery get killed by the police, gets murdered by the police. People marching, people protesting. What happened with that? What goes along like that, like bread and butter? You got your riots to shortly follow. Majority of the times behind the situation of a situation, something like that, you have, riots. So it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Police murder, you march, and then riots are always teetering. But like I said before in the last one, the only reason they didn't call this shit, some sort of, the media always go ape shit when it's just us. They always call us all types of names and shit, from thugs to vagrants to blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all of the damn media channels. Because they share the same damn script. But anyway, so fast forward, first person to break a damn window was white people. Possibly a business owner, because he can cash in on his insurance. So wait for him to bounce back. Now, I seen this firsthand. I seen this personally. A store across the street from where I'm rehabbing. You know, when I'm rehabbing a house, a building. Guys trying to say people broke in his store. Do you believe it? Nah, I didn't believe it because it just didn't sit right. His story just didn't sit right. You know? But in the community that he's in, it's a community that's already stricken with poverty and not that many jobs. So this is what I'm saying. A lot of these stores, yes, some of them did get hit and all of that, but those other small businesses, remember, they were suffering because of this pandemic. So it was a lot of insurance jobs going on. A lot of insurance jobs going on, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. There were a lot of insurance jobs going on. So, you know, that's how a lot of these companies are surviving. You know, and I have a friend who resides in a hotel because he's homeless. Okay? And like I said before about the families and people, and they were families out there looting. When he told me this, you know, it proved my point. I pick him up one day to go to work, and he says, man, you wouldn't believe this parking lot was empty. Now, usually when I pick him up, the parking lot is packed with cars because, like I told you before, it's a lot of homeless families out here. He stays at a hotel, you know, and a motel or whatever you want to call it. And they turn around. He says a lot of people. He said these parking lots were empty. I said, how many people stay there? He said, man, it ain't nothing but families, people who ain't got nowhere to go and stuff like that. They're trying to make ends meet. He said this parking lot was empty when they were riding. He said when all that stuff was going on, the parking lot was empty. Nobody was in the hotel. I said, where were they at? He said they was all out in the street. They was all out in the street riding. I didn't even know how serious it was. He said that there are kids who going into the system, you know, who don't know how to maintain their life. They're coming out of the custody of, you know, like wards of the state who don't know how to maintain their life. Then you got fathers. People don't even think about this. Fathers who are men who are raising other families besides their own, meaning they're paying child support for their kid, but they're staying with another person and raising a family over there on that other side, even though they're not with their original child's mother. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So my friend, he got his check taken from child support. Child support took his check. Every time he works, they take his money. So when this pandemic thing happened, he lost his job. Government gave money, child support took it. There's a lot of fathers out there who have new families, who have to take care of these families, and they can't because they can't work because they got a background from child support. And then they say, okay, we're going to give you a check for $1,200. They don't get that because child support takes that too. Those fathers are out there. There were a lot of families and business owners. I say business owners out there trying to survive. That's what this was. It was survival tactics at its fullest. Millions of people without jobs, millions of families without food on their table. They don't have no money to get Lysol, bleach, food, meat, because all these stores have limits, you know. So there was a lot of people out there suffering. So this wasn't just a riot of just on a magnitude of just George Floyd. This was a riot of a frustrated country. Like I said before, these people didn't have jobs. A lot of people aren't working. A lot of people have no income. A lot of people have lost their jobs behind the pandemic. Then you tell them they can't go outside. You quarantine them. What happens when you put cold water in a pot on a hot stove? It's going to boil. It's going to heat up and it's going to boil. Started heating up when we found out there was a new strain out here. Then it started heating up even more when you told us we can't work. Then you heated up even more when you told us we can't go outside. Then you go and say only so many people in the store at a time, and then add on all this other stuff on top of that. Only so many people in the store at a time. You can only get this many. You can only do this. You can only do it. Now you can put all these rules and registrations, would put more pressure on that pot of water. You topping that pot of water. Eventually that top is going to pop from the pressure. And that's what happens. That's exactly what happened. You know, the power has spoken, which is the people when I say the power. So this needed to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes. Not us. Hopefully the government learns from their mistakes and they do better. So there is no next time. That's why I didn't say next time. So there is no next time. You know? And start treating the people, start treating the power with respect. As opposed to like, and then this happened all across the world, not just here in the United States. That's why it's spreading like wildfire. That's like I said in my last post. That's why it's jumped to overseas. Because it's spreading like wildfire. Because same things over here. Flint with no water. With dirty water. When I say no water. They got situations like that in other countries. And on top of that, their pot of water, their lid has blown off too. Their top has popped. They're tired of it. So now you got rioting over there. Now the Pope is paying attention, which means the bishops, and which means that all of these other entities are going to start paying attention to black crime in America and how the white justice system treats black people in America. And to make sure that if it is a crime and it's a black crime, that it is not treated as harshly as they've been treated. Because with our crimes, it could be a small crime. You see what happens to us. Knee in the neck, chokehold, shot down. I thought he had a gun. So, like I told this sister on Facebook before I shut it down. She voting for the Democratic Party and this and that or whatever. I said, okay. But at the end of the day, because somebody had put up a post about, what's her name being a pedophile. What's his face? Biden. And how, because the Democratic Party don't want to support Biden. Something like that. That's what the conversation was about. The lady brought proof. But then this sister, black lady, she didn't want to hear that proof. She was saying it's all messed up and it's all propaganda and blah, 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 blah. And I told her, how is it you can call when somebody brings proof? You don't even investigate what they brought. You just jump and say that's propaganda. And she responds with they trying to hold us back and blah, blah, blah. And I told her, it's plain and simple. Who trying to hold us back? No matter who the fuck is in office, we the enemy. The Republican Party was dedicated towards us when we were freed as slaves. The Democrats were the slave owners. So the Democrats used to come to the newly freed slaves' house, snatch their ass up, and make them vote Democrat to make sure they didn't vote Republican when they seen how the first election went. When all the slaves voted, man, a lot, and it changed a lot, and they seen that shit, so it wasn't going to happen again. So they made all of the Republicans vote Democrat, which is why a lot of black people now think they're Democrat. Martin Luther King, Republican. Malcolm X, Republican. Farrakhan, Republican. The thing is that now the party is so tainted. We have evil on both sides who trying to get us. And that's what I told her. No matter who the hell gets in office, this skin color is still the bad guy. And once but her response was more like like damn, I didn't think about all of that. Because when Obama was in office, we were still getting beat in the fucking head, shot at, choked up when he was in office. Before he was in office, you go back to the movie The Mac, Dolomite, Foxy Brown, all of them black-owned movies, Uptown Saturday Night, always talked about the man, Shaft, the man, the man, the man, the man, the white man attacking the black man. This shit been going on with us for a long time. We need to stop acting like it's something new. But yeah, this protest was needed. But like I said, when I told the sister that, she was like, well, like damn, she forgot about that. You know, but that's how it is. We can't forget about where we come from, and we can't keep thinking that this system has us in their best interest when they don't. This system has built their backs, built their foundation off of keeping us down. So they need us to keep them up while they keep us down. They don't want us for the same reasons y'all think they want us. You know, somebody got to be the bad guy. And it's so obvious. Like, it was a joke Dave Chappelle said, you know, and I've seen this myself, you know, when he said him and his friend is driving, his friend is high, smoking, you know, driving, speeding, police pull him over. You know, Dave Chappelle straighten up, you know, trying to clean himself off or whatever. He say, officer pull up on his friend, his white friend. He'd say, hey man, you know, you were doing this and that. He looked at the police officer and said, I didn't know I couldn't do that. And the police officer let them go and all this whatever. And he didn't believe the shit worked. Yeah, that's exactly how that shit goes. That's all they got to say. I didn't know I couldn't do that. You know? And then that's how it goes. And that's how their society is. That system is developed to work for them, not for us. That system with us is developed to keep us down. But it's made to keep them up. It wasn't made for us. That's why there's so much injustice. There's so much wrongdoing and so much neglect when it comes to the black man and the black woman. They don't look at our cases the same as they look at a white person's cases. If all of these cases and these people in jail for wrongful arrests, if all of them people were white, they would have straightened that out years ago. But yeah, this riot or this march, which I call a march, which was a march, everybody stuck together, and this is what we need to do more of. And now we can see if we focus that we are the power, and we need to keep this up and keep our foot on their neck to put our foot on the neck of the system, so they'll respect us and treat us like individuals and treat us accordingly. Because like I tell people all the time, whether you white or black, as long as we fighting each other, the ones on top are winning. As long as we fighting on each other, they winning. Because they making money off of our bullets that we buy, our guns, all of these complaints that we got. They developed these little systems for that. You find a system you like, you pay money to it. They don't give a fuck. All of this shit the same. You know what I'm saying? Black lives matter, blue lives matter. Same fucking system, one people getting paid. You know? I mean, not in that order, but I'm just saying a lot of these things that we thinking we're different in, person at the top is getting money from both systems. Playing the movie called Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, or Lord of Guns, or whatever, God of Guns, whatever, something like that with Nicolas Cage where he's selling guns. They playing both sides of the field. He was selling guns to the enemy and to the if there's an enemy, they gotta be a hero. So he was selling guns to both sides of the field. Selling guns to Russia, selling guns to Ukraine, selling guns to Saudi Arabia, selling this to that. Both sides of the field, that's how the system works. But one person getting on top, getting that money. But then when his ass got caught, the damn military came and got his ass out of jail. He told him, my clearance is higher than you can than your mind can handle. I'm going to be out of here. And sure as shit stink, they came and got him up out of there. And guess what he went back to doing? Selling guns to both sides of the field. That's what we need to think about. Because as long as we fighting each other and dividing ourselves, we ain't gonna move forward. But white America, no disrespect to y'all, we gotta go back as black people, have to go back and get ourselves together with our own history, find out our truths that was whitewashed. Because we got a lot of grieving to do. Because people already know, when you find out the truth, you go through this whole mode of disbelief. And we got a lot of disbelief that we got to go through and process and then recollect on. Remember, we were back for 400 years, so y'all got that head start. We got to get ourselves together. And, it's a lot. But yeah, everybody was out there protesting. Business owners, homeless people, wards of the state, people who lost their jobs, people who couldn't feed their families. So, all right, y'all, this is Mr. Rants. I gotta go. Peace.